water for water, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think even the little connection, which are the little metered connection, when collected, Mr. Speaker, I think it's even enough to pay salaries, Mr. Speaker. You have seen the salary remuneration for their staffs. They are barely below the minimum wage, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am a resident of this town, Mr. Speaker. Every other month, personally, I pay a bill of up to 15,000 personally in where I reside, Mr. Speaker, because of whatever I'm using, the domestic use of water, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and in my neighborhood, we are having almost 50 households. And if each household paid not less than 10,000, that's 500,000. And this would, the workers which are working in Kewasco are being paid merely 10,000, Mr. Speaker. So it's not putting logic, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, remember there is additional allocation and there is additional connection of last mile distribution of water when there was an injection of 1.2 billion at Kimugu, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, what Kewasco need to do, if they are claiming that the pipes are old and they are leaking water in the previous pipes, Mr. Speaker, what about the new pipes? What they should have been doing is to concentrate on the new pipeline and do metering, Mr. Speaker, and start doing billing to the new pipeline, Mr. Speaker. So I think it's about leadership, and this board need to be restructured. It need to be looked at so that at least the value of money we have invested, Mr. Speaker, in this entity, we have value, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the recommendation by the committee, Mr. Speaker, and I think it's high time, Mr. Speaker, that we take our work seriously, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kewasco, literally, Mr. Speaker, and I want to enlighten members, Mr. Speaker. The work of Kewasco is to manage water on behalf of the county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kewasco again are mandated to advise the county on the best practices and the best development infrastructures done towards water, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this allocation we are allocating to water department, Mr. Speaker. All the water projects we are doing, Mr. Speaker, after successful completion of a water project, Mr. Speaker, what Kewasco should do is the county should hand over any successful project done to hand over to Kewasco for Kewasco to come and what? And manage, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, since we came here, 10 years, almost 6 years down the line, Mr. Speaker, when we were elected, Mr. Speaker, we have had several successful water projects, Mr. Speaker, and we have never, even at any given period of time, do an handover of our successful completed projects to Kewasco to manage, Mr. Speaker. And they are claiming now they don't have what? They don't have resources. So what they should be doing, Mr. Speaker, is that we need to do an audit of the all successful water projects which are safe and licensed by WAMA, and then after we have completed, we hand over to Kewasco. Kewasco start metering the water, Mr. Speaker, and they start collecting revenue and start maintaining, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, some of the project we did way back 2018, people have been enjoying free, and now it needs to be what? To be repaired, but no money to be repaired. So we need again to inject another additional money. So we are moving 2 steps forward and 5 steps backward, Mr. Speaker. As a county, those are the things. And as a leadership of this county, Mr. Speaker, we should be alive to the fact that, Mr. Speaker, we need to over leadership, Mr. Speaker. And every investment which we have injected, Mr. Speaker, should have a prosperity, Mr. Speaker. The design, any engineering design, Mr. Speaker, whether it is a road, whether it's a structure, a civil work, Mr. Speaker, the designers, when they are doing any design of any civil work, Mr. Speaker, they always foresee the posterity of a project to exist for more than 100 years, Mr. Speaker. So any project which is designed, a civil work project, Mr. Speaker, always should have a lifetime, Mr. Speaker. But now, because of lack of leadership, lack of proper management, lack of professionalism. That is why any projects nowadays we are doing in county, Mr. Speaker, we are just doing Meiji just for sustainability. We are just pushing the problem, and the problem is the recurring, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, it's high time, especially to the projects which has high impact, Mr. Speaker. Project like strategic intervention, which he had allocated a lot of money, Mr. Speaker. If we are not keen on it, Mr. Speaker, and give life to Kewasco, restructure Kewasco, Mr. Speaker, so that they come and take over those projects, Mr. Speaker, we will not be doing anything. In the next 20 years to come, Mr. Speaker, we will be going backward again to start another big projects, of which it only needs sustainability. Like now, the projects which are being handled by Kewasco, one which need now to be maintained, like Bureti, Tilil Bay Water Project, Mr. Speaker. It was done decades ago, and it has been for a long period of time. But because of lack of maintenance, that is now when we are coming back. The water we are enjoying in Kericho town, Mr. Speaker, was done under the then Kipsigis County Council of Municipality, or was done by Europeans, Mr. Speaker, the colonialists. And the pipes are still existing. And it is being maintained literally by Kewasco. So, Mr. Speaker, these are the projects which have impact, which we have done, Mr. Speaker. We need to revive Kewasco so that they come and take over, Mr. Speaker, so that we have sustainability and so that we save money to do other things, Mr. Speaker. Because the world is moving in a faster rate, Mr. Speaker. So we need any project we are doing, we need to do a project for posterity, a project which is designed to serve a certain population for a certain period of time, so that we cannot be recurring. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I want to echo the recommendation by the committee, and number two, the proposal by the majority leader, Mr. Speaker. And I think, Mr. Speaker, after this adoption of approval of this report, Mr. Speaker, we need to sit out as leaders and now start thinking on how we will drive this county forward, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, because, Mr. Speaker, these things, we are taking things literally, Mr. Speaker. We are digging graves for our children, Mr. Speaker. And it is high time, Mr. Speaker, that we need to do things which will come and assist our children, Mr. Speaker. What will the history tell us, Mr. Speaker? Right now, we are claiming and we are proud of the investment which were done by our grandparents, Mr. Speaker, because they offered great leadership. What are we going to be remembered with, Mr. Speaker, if we don't make decisions, Mr. Speaker, which will take this county forward, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, and we need to shun out this issue of being subjective, Mr. Speaker, in everything, Mr. Speaker. This issue of being suspicious, Mr. Speaker, this is not the type of leadership we need to offer, Mr. Speaker. Right now we are seeing Gen Zs in streets, Mr. Speaker, because they have seen we have failed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we need to be alive to the fact. And we are lucky, Mr. Speaker, as millennials, Mr. Speaker, because when I see the entire house, Mr. Speaker, we are a generation of millennials. And the advantage of millennials, Mr. Speaker, is because these millennials, Mr. Speaker, they face the old and the new generation, Mr. Speaker. Some of us use the log table and the scientific calculator, Mr. Speaker. So we know the hard life and the soft life of life, Mr. Speaker. So if we are not, we will not give a direction. And Mr. Speaker, even our ancestors, Mr. Speaker, even in our local dialects, Mr. Speaker, they once said, Mr. Speaker, the only generation who will steer the world either successfully or to dogs, Mr. Speaker, is the millennials, Mr. Speaker. So what are we standing for, Mr. Speaker? Are we standing to guide the country and the future of our kids in the right direction? Or we are standing to kill our children, Mr. Speaker? So in every decision we are making, in every contribution we are making, in every aspect we need to do in this house, Mr. Speaker, we need to think that whatever we are doing, sometimes not about us, it's about the impact we are impacting other people, Mr. Speaker, and the future of our kids. Otherwise, I want to support this motion and congratulate the committee for work done. Others, I support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I've seen the hand of Honorable Arun Rotich. And then Vincent Kirui, MCA Leten will also contribute. Welcome, Honorable Harun.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much, Speaker. Number one, Speaker, I want to thank the Chair for this committee, Able Committee of Public Accounts and Investments, for giving us an elaborate report, Mr. Speaker, precisely on the usage of our county funds. Mr. Speaker, my attention has been drawn, Mr. Speaker, to the issues pertaining to Wasco. Now that they are saying that they have not, they are being owed a total sum of 84 million, Mr. Speaker. That is ranging from a Provident Fund, National Water and Pipeline Corporation, and LAP Fund, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my own view, and in the view of the committee as I support, I also want to give my sentiment on my input, Mr. Speaker, on most of the issues that have actually emanated this far. Mr. Speaker, I remember very well somewhere in the year 2019, 2020, when the boat Kewasco was being matched by Tililbay. Mr. Speaker, I think that was the beginning of all these problems. Mr. Speaker, the FAR and the FAR we've been allocating precisely as from the county coffers, from our coffers. You know, Mr. Speaker, it's actually shocking that we've been giving them as a grant every financial year. But this hasn't been of any help. Now that we are seeing that we are being owed 84 million, means that there is a major problem that is actually hampering Kewasco. Mr. Speaker, my view or my request that Kewasco actually, we need probably water committee need to actually call the team probably from Kewasco, having that known that already we've disbanded the board and the new board is coming in place. I'm actually of the request, Mr. Speaker, that the committee on water, Mr. Speaker, ought to sit down probably going forward and probably go for an organogram. You see, because most of the things we could be paying, because we'll be remitting all these funds every financial year. They need, in my view, they need to call the new board that are coming in place, hopefully with the new MD, Mr. Speaker. Then I think when they sit down, let them do first things first, in my view, as a recommendation, part of the recommendation. Let them come sit down, Mr. Speaker, so as to avoid all these issues. Every financial year, we are actually giving them, supporting them with more funds because they are not able to sustain themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, my request was very clear, and it's very clear, that we need to also give us solutions to all these problems so that we don't also always every year incur. My suggestion number one, on the same problem, Mr. Speaker, let them table a proper organogram and probably do a proper audit on the staff, number of staff. Because you see, I believe, Mr. Speaker, that when the merger came in place, this actually came in to give us into all these problems. So I believe it would be very prudent if we know the staff of Kericho, we know the staff from Kipkelion, we know the staff of Tililbay, the former Tililbay that is in Buret, among other areas that Kewasco are actually representing. So, Mr. Speaker, that has been a problem. Like for my case now, Mr. Speaker, I'm not very sure that now that I have actually secured a donor, Mr. Speaker, that is going to sponsor some pipeline in my ward, totaling up to 12 million. So I believe probably going forward very soon, we will be seeing some advert on the same. How am I sure that these funds are going to be taken care of? Because, Mr. Speaker, this thing has shown that there is a clear mismanagement in the same institution, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, and we want to thank the Auditor General because he's given us very clear information on the areas that need to be rectified. So I've seen our able chair here, and I believe with this committee, they are able to handle this issue to a conclusion. You know, we don't want a situation where next financial year we'll be appropriating more funds, or they'll be requesting. And mind you, we are giving them as grants, Mr. Speaker, not even as a loan. So that is something very serious. We cannot be appropriating. And I want to support all the other members who've contributed immensely towards the same institution. So last, Mr. Speaker, I want to also give my input as I wind that all those, we want to start now, Mr. Speaker, seeing that those who have illegal connections, we've never seen most of them being prosecuted, Mr. Speaker. And I think it is high time that we see things rolling. Because you see, we cannot be sitting here every day that we are appropriating money meant for other developments in our wards. Yet there is an institution that is up and running, proper manned, given money all the time, and there are no prosecution, Mr. Speaker. And it's very clear. If you can ask me today that you know anyone who is doing an illegal connection, I can even give two when standing here, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, what are we doing? We also need to sit down, Chairman. I think it's high time that we sit down as committee and do this thing, and even the whole house as leaders, that Kawasco is actually touching, and do a proper, and mention those who we know, and probably end all these vices. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I support the report.
All right, thank you, the Honorable Chief Whip. The floor is still open, and I give it to the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Eric Bates.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to also contribute on this important motion today. And I want to thank the chairman of PAC committee and the entire committee for our job well done. I like the fact that each of the audit queries raised by the Auditor General, they have responded with the recommendation, which I think for me is a smart recommendation, because these queries are supposed to be addressed, each of them. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to agree with the other contributors and also who have given contribution. Mr. Speaker, sir, this report is actually 2 years old because, as has been said, this report is for 2021 and 2022, 30th June. Today is 3rd of July. So we have 2 years, and we still have 2 reports which will come before this House. And I think I want to agree that because we don't know the status of Kawasco now, this is as at 30th June 2022. So 2 years down the line, we are not aware if the issues raised here have been addressed or they have become worse. And I think the answers lies with the committee on water, who is supposed to be doing oversight. And again, maybe again the report, Auditor General's report, which will come in later. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I do agree that and also we are aware, because members here are also consumers. I'm one of them. I consume water from Kawasco. In fact, some of the staff of the Kawasco are also our residents, and they've been giving us issues about all these things. And I can report, Mr. Speaker, sir, the issues of our remittances has not been addressed up to now. And so we might be required to bring a solution, which Leader Majority had given a proposal here, that we form a special committee which will look into now the status of Kawasco as at now, and propose a solution which will give us a way forward. And I do support that proposal, Mr. Speaker, sir. So the question which has been raised by the Leader Majority, you'll make a ruling on that, on how we'll address that issue. But I do support that we need to look at this issue of Kawasco once and for all. I'm aware that also the Senate committee had earlier on even recommended for the resolution of the board, the CEO of the Kawasco, and many others. And I think if we are able to do a report again for this House, looking at now the issues affecting the management of Kawasco in terms of leadership, and again also management, we look at critically what is going on, so that if the issues with leadership, then we simply make a recommendation for that to be addressed, because these issues are very weighty, Mr. Speaker, sir. So I do support that we need to move with speed and establish that special committee to ensure that we have a report which will be able to give us a way forward. Because these recommendations here, Mr. Speaker, sir, are very good, but my concern is that they are time-bound, because now these are 2 years down the line. We need to bring ourselves to 2024 now and saying, as of now, where is Kawasco? Can we salvage? Are we doing better? And I think this report will be a reference point for that committee which will now say, as at 2022, this is where they can now pick it up from there and try to address this issue and say, did they improve, for example, of the issue of customer deposits? In this report, the Speaker, sir, we are told that it's around 28 million customer deposits as at that time. And of course, they have withdrawn about 20 million to pay other things. So we need to know now, as at 2024, have they increased? Have they improved? Have they returned back the money? Because we are told in this report that they said they were going to invest the money. So we want to know now, did they invest the money? How much return did they get from this report? So we need to bring this report now from that time and connect the dots from 2022 up to now and see if there's the trend is improvement or going further down the drain. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I do support this report, and I beg your indulgence on the issue of that committee which has been raised by leader majority, and so that we can move forward and be able to salvage this particular entity which is serving us. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I end, I am also a consumer. I want to confirm that as a consumer of water Kewasco, I faithfully pay my bills every month, and I have never defaulted. And I'm sure if customers, in this report I have not seen the issue of customers not paying water. I have not seen, if it is there, but it's not really weighted. So if customers are paying water, then it means the problem is not even about the customers, because we have not been told that the biggest issue is non-payment. The issues are dire and not that. So because of that, I think we need to move with speed and ensure that we serve with this more an entity which is serving the entire Kericho County, because water is life, and we cannot allow Kewasco to go under when we are here as members of this honorable house. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I do support the report, and I beg to move. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much, the Honorable DS. Honorable members, I will now give to the mover of the motion to reply, the Honorable Vincent Korir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to reply to the motion. And Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to thank the members of this House for giving very good ideas and adding flesh to this report. Mr. Speaker, as a committee, we did look at two reports for the financial year ending 30 June 2021 and financial year ending 30 June 2022. And as you look at the two reports, Mr. Speaker, they have almost similar issues, issue by issue, query by query. They are almost similar. Mr. Speaker, during the audits, the main issue that the Auditor General looked at is that every issue that was raised in a financial year was not addressed in the next financial year as recommended by the Auditor General. This means the management do not take seriously whatever issues that has raised by the Auditor General. But overall, this is a company that we rely on as Kericho County government to supplement in the distribution of water, which is a right to the residents of Kericho County. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, from the look of our committee and from the interrogations that we did, Mr. Speaker, we took time to ask questions to the management. And from the look of the things, even from the judgment from our committee, the management itself was tensed, and they were not able even to answer some questions that were very critical and that members could be able to ask. Mr. Speaker, the company is insolvent because the liabilities is more than the assets, and that is termed as insolvent. What happens to an insolvent company? That's the question that we need to ask ourselves. Because currently it is running on a negative figure of 117 million. And when you do a calculation, because we took time even to interrogate the management and even ask them, how long will it take for them to be able to recover and bring back the company to a profitable level? Because if in the previous financial year they made a profit of 6 million, if you can divide that every year, it will take 20 years for it to come back to its profitability, which to me is not possible. Meaning this house should actually take a stern action and provide direction to rescue this company. Because as we continue, there is what we call non-revenue water, which WASREP has an allowable limit of 28%. But Mr. Speaker, sir, the non-revenue water is 53%, which is double. Meaning we are losing a lot of money. For example, in the last financial year, when you calculate the 28% extra, it's around 124 million as a loss. And here we are speaking of staff not being paid. There is a staff arrears. The staff actually, they don't meet the third salary rule that is recommended. And most of the staff actually have children in school. They are not able to meet their obligations. And this is a company that we expect that maybe it's going to recover. Actually, the recommendation that this house has made should be able to actually save this company. Because if you continue like this company will even go into even deep losses. Mr. Speaker, sir, look at the wage bill, wages. The allowable limit is 35%, and as we speak, it is 63%, which is almost double. Meaning, we either have extra number of staff, or we are overpaying. We are using a lot of money to pay staff, which is also bringing a lot of losses, because having more than 160 staff, and they are not able to manage even the non-revenue water losses, because we were trying to find out how this non-revenue water occur. It means there's somebody who is not performing somewhere, because if there's a breakage, actually the company should be able to address, because they have enough staff and technical people. Actually, the issue of the oil pipeline might be considered, because this is an issue that should be brought to the table so that we can see how it can be addressed. But again, look at the thefts, those which we say thefts of water. Theft of water. Because if we have people who are actually monitoring these water lines, we should not be speaking of theft of water. And actually, the management were not able to even to give us satisfactory answers on such kind of issues like losses up to 28%, which is 25%, which is almost double. Meaning somebody somewhere is sitting and not in control. The budgetary issues. If you look at the budgetary issues, they are not able to even do their budgets as required by the law. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, in our recommendations, we gave several good recommendations as per each audit query. And I believe, as suggested by the majority leader, that we need maybe to constitute another committee to actually look at the current status of KEWASCO as per now, so that we can be able to give a concrete recommendation that will give us a way forward on what can be done by this house, or recommendation that we can give us oversight so that this company is rescued. Otherwise, the company is in deep losses, and it's continuing to end even in more deeper problems. Look at the efficiency. Look at even we are talking about cost reductions in the company. They are not able to reduce the cost. They are not even able to address the issues of the employees, and even collecting the debt. Because as we speak now, the company has a debt of around 203 million, which has not been collected. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is an opportune moment for this house to make serious decisions and actually to address this issue of KEWASCO. And this should even be done within the shortest time possible, because if we continue leaving this company, then we are denying the people of Kericho County their right to get clean drinking water within the towns, urban areas, and rural areas. There is the issue of merger of Tilil Bay Water Company and even with the form KEWASCO. This has been an issue whereby there's a blame game between the county government and the company on even subsidies and support by the county government, which also should be looked at and addressed once and for all, because this issue of merger has been the main reason why there is a shift of blame games by the company and the management, and even within the county, with the county government. The formation of the board should also be done in a way so that we have effective and board members who are going to be passionate to actually rescue this company and be able to deliver services as required. Mr. Speaker, before I wind my reply, I would like to thank your office. I would also like to thank the members of this committee and members of this house in general, and even your office for supporting us as a committee. Because this committee undertakes some processes before we come up with a report. I would like to thank the members of Secretariat who took a lot of time. Mr. Speaker, we did 2 reports at the same time, and actually the members of the Secretariat took a lot of time, even extra time, to actually come up with this report. Mr. Speaker, maybe in future, you also give us maybe extra time, because these reports need detailed information and factual information that actually we can be able to give recommendations as per the Auditor General. Otherwise, I thank the membership of this House for the contributions and beefing up this report, and I do support. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, the Honorable Chairman, Public Accounts and Investment Committee. I now rise to put the question that this House adopts the report of the County Public Accounts and Investment Committee on the consideration of the Auditor General's report of Kericho Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2021 and 30th June 2022 respectively. Will as many as are of similar opinion say aye? Will as many as contrary opinion say nay? And the ayes have it. Honorable members, of course, having listened to your contribution and the presentation made by the Leader of Majority, as well as the Deputy Speaker and honorable members raising concern on the management of Kiawasco, I direct that we shall address the issues that have been raised, and we shall communicate in due course, probably in the next in 2 weeks' time, so that you can proceed with the requests that you have made. Otherwise, there being no order of business, this House stands adjourned until 2:30 p.m.